If you look up in the northern hemisphere sky, you might be able to see the constellation Ursa Minor. Constellations are stars that are connected together to make a picture. Ursa Minor is unique because it does not have a direction in which it sets or rises in. Ursa Minor can be seen the best in the month of June at 9 o'clock p.m. Ursa Minor is 434 light-years from Earth. Ursa Minor's brightest star is Polaris, the North Star. Other names are Little Bear and Little Dipper. Native Americans have many beliefs and stories about Ursa Minor. One of them is, long ago there were two mountain chiefs, Naga and Shino. Shino was so proud of Naga because he could climb the roughest and highest mountains. He once found a mountain with a very high peak and steep sides. Its sharp peak reached way up to the clouds. Naga looked up and said, "I will climb to the very highest point." He traveled around the mountain, but he could not find any trail at all. This was the first ever mountain that Naga could not climb. He knew that his father would be very ashamed of his son if he figured out that he couldn't climb a mountain. Naga soon found a hole that turned upward. His heart was glad. Up he climbed. Soon it became really dark and Naga could not see where he was going, so he would skin his knees very often. Naga's confidence began to fail. He had never before seen a place so dark and dangerous. As the sun began to rise, Naga could finally see again. He climbed to the top of the mountain that day, and he climbed so high that he became a star that every living thing can see. He is the only star that will always be found in the same place. Travelers looking up at him can always find their way. He will always be known as the North Star.
Have you ever heard of the constellation Boötes or the herdsman? Boötes means herdsman. The Native American tale of Arcturus, Boötes' brightest star, begins when Coyote started to juggle his eyeballs. Coyote loved to juggle his eyeballs to impress the girls. One day he threw one of his eyeballs so high up that it got stuck in the sky, and that eyeball became Boötes' brightest star, Arcturus. If you ever want to see Boötes, then know that Boötes sets in the northwest and rises in the northeast, in the northern hemisphere. So if you live in North America, China, Canada, Russia, India, Algeria, and more, then you will be able to see Boötes at 9 p.m. in June. Boötes is 700 million light-years away.
Canis Major. If you are in the northern and southern hemisphere or in Kansas, you can see Canis Major. Canis Major is exactly 8.6 light-years from Earth. A light-year is exactly 9.8 trillion kilometers. You can see Canis Major in the fall in the mornings, and you can see Canis Major in the winter during evenings. Canis Major sets in the northeast and rises in the southeast. The Native American story of Canis Major is, there are two dogs, Canis Major and Canis Minor, who guard the land of the souls. To get past the dogs, one should bring food. If you give food to Canis Minor, he'll let you pass. But if you fail to save some food for Canis Major, you will be trapped between them forever. The end.
Have you ever seen a constellation at night? The constellation Ursa Major, or as you might know, it is the Big Dipper. The Big Dipper can be seen in the northern hemisphere. It can be seen in the spring and in the month of March 20th to June 21st. It rises in the north and sets in the west. It is 123 light-years away. The Native Americans tell a story about the Big Dipper. It is said the Big Dipper is in the shape of a bear. A hunter hits the bear with a bow and arrow. When the arrow hits the bear, it starts to bleed out. The Native Americans believe that in the fall, the blood from the bear causes the leaves to change color from green to red and brown.
Have you ever seen a constellation? Orion is easy to see in the northern hemisphere. If you are wondering what Orion is, it is a constellation. Another name for Orion is Hunter. Orion rises in the east and sets in the west. It would take 9 trillion kilometers to get to Orion from the U.S. The season you can see Orion is in the winter. The month you can see Orion is January through March. The Native Americans' belief about Orion was that they would think that it would be a race between Orion's belt against Orion's dagger.
Have you ever heard of Pegasus the constellation? Pegasus the constellation is 34,000 light years away. The distance from Earth to the closest star in the constellation is 690 light years away. Pegasus can be seen in the southern hemisphere during fall and in the northern hemisphere in the summer. The states in the northern hemisphere is anything north of the equator. The southern hemisphere is anything south of the equator. Pegasus rises in the east and sets in the west. The months that you can see Pegasus is July, August, September, and November. This is the story of Pegasus told by the Native Americans. The Winged Horse was a story told by the Native American culture. It's about a beautiful horse that roamed the land. This horse was a beautiful free horse. It is his freedom that inspires him to do good things around the land. Whenever a Native American was injured or in need, it said that the wild horse would appear and help him. One day, the wild horse came across a boy who was injured in a trap. The horse helped him and gave him a ride home. During the journey, the horse was sensing thoughts that the boy would not be popular and have no friends. So the legend says that the wild horse gave up its freedom and helped the boy.
Did you know that the sun is a star that is 4.6 billion years? Did you know it is a middle-aged star because it's yellow? It's not that old because it is a middle-aged star. In fact, that's where the moon comes in. The moon is actually a natural satellite. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. You can see the moon all over, and you can see it daily in all seasons. The Native American story of the sun and the moon is, once the sun and his sister, the moon, lived together in a wigwam in the east. The sun dressed himself to go hunting and took his bow and arrow and left. He was gone such a long time that when his sister came out into the sky to look for her brother, she became afraid. She traveled 20 days looking for the sun. Finally, he returned bringing with him Ursa Major, the bear, which he had killed.